Good morning, welcome to Morning Maths. We're on day 31 now. You just need your pencil and paper to work through as we're going. Today we're doing a special about Jessica Ennis, a famous British athlete. We once did one about Usain Bolt, didn't we? The famous sprinter. And today we'll find out about Jessica Ennis and the events that she used to do. So let's start. Let's start with question one. I'll talk about the photos as we're going along. So question one, the value of the 7 in 347. The value of the 7 in 347. Units or ones, tens, hundreds. So the value of the 7 is 7 units. 7 units, you might say 7 ones. 7 units or ones. And as a digit, of course, it's just 7. Now, Jessica Ennis used to do, because she's retired now, but she used to do a very special event in athletics, not just the 100-meter sprint like Usain Bolt, or he used to do 100-meter sprint and 200-meter sprint and relays, but Jessica Ennis did the heptathlon, which is actually 7 events, all in one. 7 events that go towards 1 gold medal if you win. Heptathlon. Let's make sure I spell that right. Heptathlon is her event. But it actually is made up of 7 events. It's made up of the hurdles, this one here, where you sprint really fast over these hurdles. It's also made up of a 200-meter race. You run 200 meters, Usain Bolt does that one. An 800-meter race, very tiring. It's also made up of the high jump, which is down here. We have to jump over a bar. We'll talk more about that later. I'll reveal more of that picture later. The shot put, where you have to throw this really heavy metal ball as far as you can. And the last 2 events are hidden under here. The long jump, we have to run and jump as far as you can. And the javelin, where you have to throw this metal thing that's almost like a spear as far as you can. So there's 7 events that she used to compete in. We'll talk about them each a bit more as we go through. So question 1 we did, it was 7, and question 2, 990 plus 996. 990 plus 996. So pause if you need time to copy that down. We get 6, 9 plus 9 is 18, make sure it says 18. 9 plus 9 is 18, plus 1 is 19. 1986. That's actually a year, 1986. That's the year when Jessica Ennis was born, 1986. So when I'm making this video in June 2020, she is actually 34, and she's retired, just like Usain Bolt. Very similar age to Usain Bolt. She's a retired athlete, which means she doesn't do it anymore, except for fun. She doesn't do it as a job anymore. Question 3, 458. Take away 358. You might know the answer straight away. Do you? 458 take away 358. 8 take away 8 is of course 0. 5 take away 5 is of course 0. 4 take away 3 is 1. 400s take away 300s is 100. The answer is 100. It's the first of Jessica Ennis's events. This one here, the 100 meters hurdles. 100 meter hurdles. You have to jump over 10 hurdles while you're doing your 100 meter race. Okay? Let's move on to question 4. Now in the 100 meter hurdles, there are 8 athletes, 8 lanes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. For adults anyway, it's usually 8 lanes. It can be a bit different. Every athlete has to jump over 10 hurdles. So how many hurdles are there altogether? Well, 8 athletes times by 10 hurdles. What's the answer to that? 8 times 10 is 80. So there's actually 80 hurdles laid out on this track. You can't see them all in the picture because you can't see the whole track, but there'll be 80 hurdles if you've got 8 athletes jumping 10 hurdles each. Let's move on to question 5. 68 divided by 2. All right, yes, this is a much bigger division question than I've done in year 3 in the past. So I'm going to do it in a slightly different way. I've got 68. That's 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I've got these rods of 10. You probably remember these from the infants. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and 60. So I've made up the 60 out of 68. And look at these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I've got 68. It's normally very hard to use counters to count out 68. I'm doing 68 divided by 2, so 68 shared between 2. So I'm going to share those between 2. I'll put one over here on the track. Oh, no, I won't, because the track hides it. I'll put one here and the other group over here. So I'm splitting these into 2 groups. One group down here, one group up here. So they've each got 3 of these long parts, 10, 20, 30, 10, 20, 30. Then I'll share these little ones. Share them out into the 2 groups. Doesn't matter exactly where I put them, as long as they're in 2 groups. So you can see that this first group has 10, 20, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, because 68 divided by 2 is 34. The other group must have 34 too. 10, 20, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34. So the answer to 68 divided by 2 is 34. I already mentioned this, but that's how old Jessica Ennis is at the time of making this video, 34 years old. So thanks for your help, those counters. I'll get rid of those ones, and we'll move on to the year 4 level work. Let's remove this hurdles picture for now. We might look at it later. Year 4. 5007 plus something equals 5017. So we've got, I'm actually going to write this as a column method, which is a bit strange. Haven't done this before. It's 5007 plus something, and it makes 5017, because I know how similar these numbers are. This is a different way of doing it, just to help your understanding really. 7, to get to 7, what do you need to add? Nothing. You don't need to add anything at all. 0 to get to 1, what do you need to add? 1. 0 to get to 0, you don't need to add anything. 5 to get to 5, you don't need to add anything. You're probably thinking, well, this says 10, doesn't it? You don't need those zeros at the front. The answer is 10. 10 is what is missing from 5007 to get to 5017. 5007 plus 10 gives you 5017. So the answer is 10. That's what goes in the missing box, 10. And we're on question 7. Oh, what is 10? What is 10 to do with? I've actually forgotten what 10 is. So I'll have to remind you of that when I look at the answers later. Maybe I'll remember in a minute. Why do I put 10 there? There must be a reason. Oh, I know what it is. 10 is the age that Jessica Ennis started athletics. That's how old she was when she started athletics. I know some people in St Helens start even earlier than 10 in our athletics club. And we have lots of 10-year-olds and 11-year-olds doing athletics. So, question 7. 1,523 plus 473. 3 plus 3 is 6. 2 plus 7 is 9. 5 plus 4 is 9. And 1,000 and nothing else is 1,000. So 1,996. And 1996 here is a year. It's the year when Jessica Ennis started athletics when she was 10 in 1996, because she was born in 1986. Let's move on to question 8. 991 less than 3,000. What number goes on the top in a takeaway? The biggest number. Even though it wasn't written at the front of the question, 3,000 is bigger than 991. So in a takeaway, it has to go at the top. 3,000 take away 991. Pause if you need to copy that down. We've got lots of borrowing to do, because 0 take away 1 we can't do. Borrow along to there. Goes down to 10, 9, 10, 9. 10 take away 1 is 9. 9 take away 9, 0. 9 take away 9, 0. And we have 2. 2009. And that is the year where Jessica Ennis was first the world champion in heptathlon. The world champion of heptathlon for the first time in 2009. How it works is you get points for each of the 7 events, and whoever gets the most points wins. And she won in 2009, the world champion. Let's move on to question 9. This is pretty easy, question 9, isn't it? 2011 times by 1 is just going to be 2011. 2011 times 1 is 2011. That's the year when Jessica Ennis was world champion for the second time. She was the best in the world at heptathlon for the second time, 2011. Question 10. 6,045 divided by 3. For something this big, we'll use the bus stop usually in year 4. 6,045 divided by 3. How many 3's in 6? 3, 6. My finger said 2. How many 3's in 0? None, because 3 is too big to fit into 0. Carried a 3. How many 3's in 34? A lot. 3, 6, 9, 12 and 15, 18, 21 and 24, 27 and 30. 33 I could get, which was 11. Something weird has happened here. Very, very weird. Because 11 can't be written up here like this, can it? So that has told me that I've done something wrong. I'm going to go back to the start. Something's gone wrong. You probably noticed it. Let's see what happens when I try again. So we need that 3, don't we? How many 3's in 6 is 2? How many 3's in 0 is 0? I know what I did. I carried a 3 and there was no 3 to be carried because there was nothing here. So I shouldn't have carried that 3. 3 into 4 does work. 3 into 4 goes 3 is once, carried a 1. And 3 into 15, 3, 6, 9, 12 and 15 is 5. So if you end up, like happened to me a minute ago, I ended up having to write 11 up the top. Well, that should never happen. You should never have to write a 2-digit number up the top. If you have to do that, it's gone wrong. Go back to the start and try again, which is what just happened to me. So the answer is 2015. That's when Jessica Ennis was world champion for the 3rd time. Let's move on to the year 5 level work. Now we have decimals coming in to year 5. We can start to do some decimal personal bests for Jessica in her 7 events. So the value of the 2, this is not going to be decimals, the value of the 2 in 332.341. Well, the answer is not going to be decimals because the 2 is in the units column, which comes before the decimal point, doesn't it? So the value of the 2 is 2 units. 2 units or ones, which is just 2. And that is the number of children Jessica Ennis has. She actually had her first child during her career and came back to compete again. So she already has 2 children despite having this athletics career. Let's move on to question 12. This is 2.64 plus 9.9. 2.64. We'll line up our decimal point like this all the way down. We're going to add 9.9. We could place a 0 here, but we don't have to. 4 is just 4. 6 plus 9 is 15, carried a 1. 2 plus 9, 11, plus 1, 12. 12.54. That 12.54 is Jessica Ennis's personal best for the 100-metre hurdles. That's this event here, the 100-metre hurdles, 12.54. It's actually the best a heptathlete has ever run for the hurdles, 12.54. So that's her personal best. She can run 100 metres and jump over 10 hurdles in just 12 and a bit seconds, 12.54 seconds. Slightly more than 12 and a half seconds. And we move on to question, I called that question 12, didn't I? That was question 12. Oh yeah. Oh, okay. Now we're on question 13. 2 take away 0.05. The biggest number goes at the top. Is it 2 or is it nothing 0.05? The biggest number is 2, but it needs a decimal point in order to line it up correctly. 2.00, it needs these zeros to be placed. 2.00 is the same as just 2, isn't it? 2 take away 0.05 we can now do. This is going to tell us Jessica Ennis's high jump best. 0 take away 5. Go and borrow from the 2. This is very high, this high jump best. 1.95 metres. That is very nearly 2 metres, which is 1.95 is taller than almost all humans. 1.95 would be a very tall human, 1.95 metres. Jessica Ennis is not 1.95 metres high, but that she can jump 1.95 metres high, higher than her own height. I'll show you this picture now. So the answer is 1.95. When you do the high jump, in secondary school, you start doing it like this. We do vertical jump where you try and touch as high up the wall as you can. But this is how high jump is done in secondary school and for adults. You have to jump your whole body over that bar without touching it. That bar at Jessica Ennis's personal best is well, I'll tell you on the next question, but it's higher than her own height. She would come up to about here, and she runs and jumps over a bar there without touching it, which is absolutely amazing, really. Most people could certainly not do that. So her high jump best, 1.95 metres. Let's go on to question 14. 60 times 0.5. So I'm going to line it up as if there's no decimals there and put them in at the end. It's cheating a little bit, really. I don't like it because you're not really lining up. You're not really lining it up properly when you do this. This is not how you'd line up plus or minus or divide, but on times you do it like this. There's another way of doing this question. I'll show you that at the end as a check. So we're going to, this is technically long multiplication. I'll squeeze it in, but most of it's going to be zeros. 5 times 0 is 0. 5 times 6 is 30. I've done that. 0 times 0 is equal to 0. 0 times 6 is equal to 0. So you didn't really need that line. Then we add it up and it's 300. Well, the answer is not 300 because we had a decimal place. One decimal place in the question means 1 in the answer. So the answer is 30.0. Another way of doing it, 60 times 0.5. 0.5 you might know is the same as a half. 60 times a half is half of 65. Sorry, half of 60 because of means times. So 60 times a half is half of 60, which is 30, isn't it? So the answer is 30. And 30 centimetres, that is how high Jessica Ennis could jump above her own height. So if she was perhaps standing here, I'm going to have to stretch her head a bit. She may say she was about that tall. There she is, just standing about that tall. She can jump over her own height by 30 centimetres. Right, that was high jump. Let's see what's next. Question 15 is 73.35. We're going to divide it by 5. How many 5s in 7? Just 1, remainder 2. 5s in 23, 4, remainder 3. Don't forget that very important decimal point. 5 in 33 is 6, remainder 3. And then we have 7. 14.67. That's her shot put personal best. That's how far she can throw this very heavy little metal ball. 14 and a bit metres. 14.67 metres. Now, year 6 level questions. Question 16. 100 plus something equals 122.83. 100 plus something equals 122.83. That's the missing part, isn't it? The 100 is there, 22.83 is missing. So you can actually see that the answer is 22.83. That's what would go in the box there, 22.83. And 22.83 is Jessica Ennis's 200 metres personal best. Personal bests are the best you've ever been able to do in an event. The people who are in the athletics squad at school have their personal bests in different events, and we record them, and a lot of them know what they are, and you'll keep having those if you do athletics all through your life or your career. Personal bests in each event, so you know the best you've ever done. They're very hard to beat. Once you get a personal best, it's usually very hard to beat it, especially as an adult. Let's line this up correctly. 1.43 plus 5.2. Make sure the decimal point lines up. This will probably be another personal best. 6.63. That is Jessica Ennis's long jump personal best. That is her jumping through the air after having a run up 6.63 metres. And in school we do a lot of indoor athletics where we do standing long jump, which is actually a bit harder than this running long jump, because if you haven't had a run up, it makes things harder. So we have children who can sometimes jump over 2 metres, which is amazing on standing long jump. Jessica Ennis wouldn't be able to do 6.63 on a standing long jump. But 6.63 on a running long jump, that's a long, long way. That's almost the width of our swimming pool. She could almost jump our swimming pool in one jump at the width of it. Our swimming pool is 7.5 metres. This is a bit over 6.5 metres. So she couldn't quite make it, but that is a long way. She could almost jump our swimming pool's width. Let's go on to question 18. This is 50, which has no decimals. Take away 1.67. So I'm going to need to give 50 some decimals to make this work. 50 take away 1.67. Lots of borrowing to be done, but I know year 6 are good at this, so I'll go quickly. We do all our borrowing along here. Let's see what we get. 3, 3, 8, and 4. 48.33. That is Jessica Ennis's personal best in the javelin. She can throw the javelin 48 and a bit meters. Long, long way. Let's go on to question 19. 1391, 1391 times 5. 1391 times 5. 5 times 1, 5. 5 times 9, 45. 5 times 3, 15, plus 4, 19. 5 times 1, 5, plus 1, 6. 6,955. That is Jessica Ennis's best ever points score in the heptathlon. You get up to about 1,000 or so points for each event. 1,000 is an amazing score in each event. So if you've got 1,000 in each, you'd get 7,000 points, but that's hardly ever done. But Jessica Ennis can get 6,955 points out of the 7 events. That's her best point score from doing her 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7 events. Let's move on to question 20. We've got quite a long division question here. 30,180 divided by 15, which I can't really fit on very well, divided by 15. So for this, the way that I would recommend doing it, or the way that I like doing it, is with the 15 times table created. So I'm going to create that. I've written this in completely the wrong place to do that. I think, oh no, that's nice. It moved for me. I can put that up there and do my 15 times table. I'll start here. I'm going to have to squeeze it quite small. So you just keep adding 15s to get your 15 times table. 15 plus 15 is 30, plus another 15, that will be 45, plus another 15, that will be 60, and plus another 15, that will be 75. I've got 5 of them, and I'm going to stop there, and if I need more later, I'll do more later. Cross out those plus 15s. So I've got 15, 30, 45, 60, 75. I know halfway should be 75. Because 15 times 10 would be 150. 15 times 5 is half of that 75. So let's see if that's enough of a 15 times table to get this done. 15 into 3 is 0, carry the 3. 15 into 30, 1, 2. It's 2, exactly. 15 into 1, 15 is far too big to go into 1. We'll need to use that 1 later. 18 now. How many 15s in 18? 1, just 1. The remainder is actually 3. And how many 15s in 30? 1, 2. It's 2. 2,012. So I was able to do it with just 5 of my 15 times table written out. Sometimes, as happened to me the last time I did this, I think you need to write out the next 4 or 5 to get enough. So we get 2012, which is a famous date of 2012. That was the London Olympics, wasn't it? Which you've probably learned from these morning maths videos in the past. The 2012 London Olympics. And Jessica Ennis was under a lot of pressure to try and win gold for Great Britain in the heptathlon. And she actually did. She famously won gold in the London Olympics 2012 in the heptathlon. Let's have a look at our answers. I think I mentioned every single one as I went along. I'm just checking down there that I did. And you can pause if you need more time to check these answers. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you again next time.